Hello, hello. How are you,
Well,
Yvonne?
good afternoon, Effie, and good afternoon to everyone. And please clock, we are early this week.
We just do it so we see if you're paying attention.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it is.
We thought we'd break the spell. We'd break the spell of coming in 2, 3 minutes late and instead come in a couple of minutes early, just because we can.
Yeah, absolutely. That's ease and flow, isn't it?
Ease and flow, ease and flow. Excellent.
Uh, and it is funny because we are talking about perfection today, and I think yeah, I think we both have overcome that thing for a long time now.
Yeah. I'm going to hold my hand up and say I don't think I've ever been a perfectionist. I don't
Uh,
think it's interesting because this is something that I can pretty honestly say I think that I don't think I've ever really experienced it, but I have seen it. And my clients, quite a few of my clients have definitely been caught in that whole perfection thing. And just for those who may be tuning in for the first time, we're here as Permission to Thrive, really looking at the narratives, the stories, the patterns that keep us locked in behaviors, quite often without us realizing it. They're also the same patterns that generally keep us small, stop us from being bold and kind of taking on the challenges that come our way or the opportunities even that come our way. And this is all about just shedding light on what those look like, what they might sound like. So the phrases that we use, you may say, not really, but you may have a similar phrase that's coming up for you. And just that awareness, just starting to be aware that, oh my goodness, that's a cycle I get caught in. That is definitely something that happens for me, is the beginning of everything, because at that point, you then have the opportunity to do something different, not straight away. Sometimes it's about being able to just see it and be with it and recognize it before you actually do something about it.
yeah, definitely. And you know, the perfection is like I'm saying the perfection is like we're talking about the perfection pose, and we always talk about pose and how good that is. But the perfection pose is like a trap, basically. And personally, I have noticed it quite a lot, going hand in hand with procrastination for my own personal experience. Um, so it's a very good excuse. Let's have it perfect. So because it's not perfect, let's not show up right now. Let's wait for the perfect moment with the perfect, I don't know, hairdo. That never happened for me. But anyway, all these things. And it, it never comes. That perfect moment never comes. And it can be quite frustrating. So the first phrase we're talking about today is "it's not ready yet," and
Mm,
I don't know. I have definitely said that, and I have definitely lost or wasted, or I don't know what you can say, but yes, definitely wasted. That's how I'm going to phrase it. I'm talking for myself quite a lot of time because of that. How has this showed up for you, Yvonne? Or you said that you're never a perfectionist, but it's not ready yet. Wouldn't is that something that has like sounds familiar or?
yeah, interestingly, so whilst I'm not a perfectionist, I am really comfortable with putting something out there, not needing it to be picture perfect. And that doesn't, I just don't have an issue with that. Interestingly, though, as we look at that phrase, it's not ready yet. Where I can relate to it is when my avoider was
Mm,
high up. That was like the great escape. And it wasn't often because it needed to be perfect. It was probably more a fear of the exposure. So that was so slightly different reasoning, but the same phrase. right? So it's almost like I'm not ready. You know, it's not ready yet. It's not ready because I wasn't ready to put myself out there. And so, yeah, I guess that plays out the same way when you are trying to make everything just so. The same thing occurs, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's been a very long time that I have not really felt that way. And I mean, I have to say, it's such a relief. It's such a big burden off your shoulders when
Mm,
you are just who you are, showing up, and the only concern you have is serving, and serving the people that really need what you have,
yes.
and you can help them, because otherwise, if you get too caught up in the picture perfect thing, then you're not making it about them, you're making it about you. And if you do that, then it sort of defeats the objective of what we're here to do. um, and I have a fabulous example of this colleague of ours that we've been talking for quite a few months now, and she's been so worried about putting herself out there. And believe it or not, like one video with her authentic self and her authentic message, it generated 20,000 views. She was like, I cannot believe this. I cannot believe this. And but the reason is not about the, how it looks, it's about the message. And clearly she had the right message out there, and she will now be able to generate the business she wants and help the people that she really is meant to help
Yeah.
with so much better sense of belonging in this particular space, because it's always that sense as well that, am I really a coach, am I not, am I going to be good enough, all these imposter things that come with it, right? And they play with that perfection note there. So yeah, I hope that she gets this as a good evidence that
Yes.
perfection doesn't really, help anyone, let alone, I mean, most of all, our clients. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
And this is that thing, isn't it? You know, there's nothing wrong with wanting to get something looking amazing. So I think we mentioned this last week. So for me, this is about excellence, not perfection. You can strive for excellence, but striving for perfection is like, how do you ever know when it's perfect?
Yeah.
Because when you get to that iteration that probably to anybody else is perfect, you're still thinking it needs to be better. It needs to be better. And so it keeps on going. And all that while, just as you were saying, you delay putting what you have out there. And it's not only about the impact that's having on you and probably on your confidence and your belief in what is
Yeah.
possible, but also for the people who are sitting there literally waiting for a message that resonates with them. So you talk about this specific person, and she could have sat back for another week, another month, another 6 months. And those people, and I'm not talking just about the views, but the people who actually reached out to her
Oh yeah.
would have still been waiting to hear the message that landed for them. And so, you know, that for me is like, this is why it's so important to, okay, I feel that, and I know that that's coming up for me, but I wonder what would happen if I just dared to no, bypass it, override it, go through it, just do it anyway, whatever that terminology sits with, and just dare to see what that might look and feel like.
Absolutely. And the thing is, I am 100% certain, and of course, we have seen this in practice now. There is no wrong way of going full out, because even if it doesn't work, you still get feedback and you still understand how to make things better. If you just sit back waiting for the perfect thing, you might put out the perfect thing, but it doesn't resonate with anyone because you never gave a chance to anyone to give you some feedback and tell you what they think about this particular way of showing up. So I think this is what it is all about. It's becoming vulnerable in a way that allows us to reach out to not
Yes.
only for our clients, but also to reach out and show ourselves what we can do and how we like we have an idea of what is the right way, what is the right people, who are the people we talk to. But at the end of the day, it's not about what we have in our heads, about what's coming, what is the interaction that we will have, and where will this land, really, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think that's, when I think about like these Thursday lives, we turn up week after week, we kind of have the topic that we're going to speak on, we have a couple of phrases that we're going to focus on. But there's no more planning than that. That's it. It's like this is what this is about. These are the couple of phrases. Let's see what happens. And that there's a freedom in that.
Absolutely.
And as somebody who has, been a trainer, facilitator, speaker, like for me, like, oh my goodness, the joy of not having to sit and prep slides, do this, and have this kind of perfect pitch, as it were, and actually just be with self and let's see what really comes up when we start talking about this thing. I know you can't always do that if you're going off to do a presentation or a talk, but even so, still leaving space for what comes up in the present for me is so important. And if you're tied to the perfection of everything, that's just that's a difficult thing to do because you kind of almost want to have every word written as it should be. Every box needs to be ticked, every T, every I, all of that. And that becomes so heavy. And in fact, even as I think back of, years ago, when I used to go and deliver training overseas, more than I have been recently, and the amount of, even though I wasn't striving for perfection, but the amount of energy into attempting to get everything as it was and not really leaving space for what came up in the moment. It's just like, I wouldn't even want to maintain that now.
Oh yeah. I mean, there is this one thing that I love about these lives is that, and people will not know that, but we don't know each other's views for this particular things that we're discussing. So there is so much to look forward to, even from our own discussions, because this is what we are all about. And yes, we know that like overall we work with this particular modalities. We understand the work we do each other. I mean that each other does. But at the end of the day, we are not sure how we are going to move the discussion, and it is so like light and freeing, and I mean also it makes us learn quite a lot. I mean the
Yes.
number of things I have learned from you while we are discussing these things, and the examples you're using, or some phrases or some way that you have expressed something that never occurred to me. It's
Mm,
unbelievable. So I come here to enjoy and learn and share.
yes.
And I hope that, this shows up anyway for the other people
Yes.
that see us, that watch.
Yeah. For sure. I think it does. And, we often get some really lovely messages pre and post because we always post about what we're talking about on the Tuesday, then we turn up on the Thursday. And so, interestingly, just talking about that on Tuesday, Kalinda, who often listens, tunes in, and thank you, Kalinda, for being so present, had said, done is better than perfect. And also, we are perfectly imperfect, which is a phrase I love, and I tap into that a lot. Um, and you know what? Progress beats perfection. Progress. So it's like every iteration of something, if you're moving forward on it, that's what you need. Because in fact, that first iteration of whatever it is, may to somebody land as perfect because it's perfect for them. And then the second iteration may land for somebody else. That's how we keep on doing this. If we get caught up in thinking we need to polish everything within an inch of its life, guess what? We end up not putting anything out there at all. So we spend an awful lot of time and effort in the creating, the putting things together, and then nothing comes of it. And I've seen that happen many times. I have a dear friend, and I see it like that desire for everything to be on point often means that some of her most brilliant work never sees the light of day. And even though she is aware, it's taking some work. But that's okay, because here's the
Yeah.
thing, as we always say, if you have the awareness, then you can begin. And it may take a little bit longer than somebody else. That's not the point. But having that awareness gives you the opportunity to think, okay, I'm getting caught in this loop. And actually, it's now starting to frustrate me because I know that I have something to put out there, right? I've got something.
Yeah, because awareness puts you in that realm of possibility, and it is possible. You know that it can happen. So when you realize that yourself is the only thing that stands between you and your goal, your aim, then it becomes crystal clear that you have to do something about it. And that's when you start taking action. And it doesn't really matter how big that action is at the end of the day. One foot in front of the other is way better than running and sprinting and I don't know what. And also we must not get caught up in that uh, thinking of how fast other people are doing it, or that needs to be done in such and such time, because that is not real either, because each and every one of us is unique. Therefore, we take our own sweet time. I know for myself to do the things that we want to do. But the only time that you're going to really miss the boat completely is when you stop moving towards the boat, right?
Yeah.
I think that's how I see it for
Yeah,
myself and my work.
it is. And it is that being stuck and but being able to recognize it's almost like, I've got this thing, and then you're just like here, and it's not moving in any direction. And just again, noticing that. And then, being able to do things like, we're here, Permission to Thrive. This is all kind of part of the mental fitness. How do we break free? What are those little things that we do, those micro habits we can build in that break us out of states? So once we have the awareness, there are then tools that we can use that kind of free us from keeping going down the same rabbit hole. We may still go down it from time to time, but we do it less and less. And I think that's also important. So that yes, there's the awareness, and then there are tools that you can tap into that help you to sort of change those behaviors and those thinking patterns. And that really is what the mental fitness element of what we do is all about.
Yeah, definitely. Because
Okay.
every single little thing that you do will take you one step towards the awareness of who you want to show up as, and who you are, right?
Mm.
We don't just all of a sudden appear as somebody else. It doesn't happen like this, and it is a process. And we have said many times the process never ends. But that's quite all right, isn't it? Because I find it very interesting and also refreshing. Even the moments that I'm feeling really down,
Mm.
I'm thinking, okay, it's not forever. I know it is like moments, and
Yes.
that I'm going to overcome them, and I have something to look forward to, because I know everything is a process. Everything is getting better. If not outside, it's inside for sure, because that's the one thing I can control, right?
Yes.
And that's what I always share with my clients. Take it slow, but steady. And when you do that, it's going to feel even more realistic as well. Because sometimes, we are so involved in, like, oh, things have to show up and be like a big baboon, but it's not always the case, is it? So slow and
Indeed.
steady, I think, will eventually take you wherever you want to go. And
Yeah. Well, we know that slow and steady wins the race. We know that, right? From the
yeah.
tortoise and hare. Yes, we are aware. So, yes. Okay, so let's look at the next phrase, which is, I don't want to get it wrong. Hmm.
Yeah.
How's that? How has that phrase landed for you? Has it ever landed for you?
Well, honestly, I'm not 100% sure, but you know what? What is right? What is right? Because it really, that I know for a fact, even without, without knowing anything, I can imagine a hyper vigilant person, like a saboteur that is like, everything needs to be a certain way. And if I get it wrong, what is going to happen? I mean, I can promise you the world is not going to stop going round and round. The sky is not going to fall on your head. But the question is, what is right? Because we put this meaning in things, and we are so hung up in, like, locking them in that particular meaning. But
Mm,
we have found out, like, throughout our lives, I think, let me speak about myself again, but that something that I thought right, I don't know how many years ago, I don't think of it right now, or the other way around. So why should this matter?
yeah. I think it's an interesting one. So I don't want to get it wrong. It is that, does it matter even if you get it wrong? Because the most important thing is, what's the lesson that you get to take away? So if I do something and, it's what somebody would term as a failure, or I did get it wrong, or whatever the language is that is tied to it, I'm like, okay, so what am I taking away? What has that taught me? What is the lesson? So that
Mhm.
when I go back and do it again, or I do something differently, but this is part of it, what might I do differently? How might I change my approach? So for me, it's even if there is a wrong, what's the learning? It's an opportunity to learn. And okay, nobody wants to get it wrong, in a big way, or on a big stage, or whatever that thing is. Let's just say that does happen. Let's just say that may be the worst possible situation, and it happens. What are you going to do with that? Because you can either allow it to shrink you even more, and you just think, never again, that's never going to happen again. And so you go deeper into perfection mode and nothing's ever really quite right. Or you say, okay, this happened, this actually went okay, this went really well, this didn't work at all. How do I approach this differently? So for me, this is a bit about that being more solution focused and not getting caught up in the thing that went wrong or didn't quite work out. That will happen. I kind of want to say, I'm really sorry. This is life that we're living. It's going to happen. It's going to happen, and that's okay. How we respond as opposed to react to it is the bit that truly matters.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when have we ever, like, known the outcome of anything right from the start? even for things that we thought they were like absolutely spot on. How did you know? I mean, what the outcome would be? And like I have seen it many times for things that was really, certain that they will land right, that, like I worked on them really hard, and they didn't have the response that I thought they would have. So why would I let any of these things like stop me from doing anything? Because at the end of the day, if you're like thinking of like and it doesn't matter whether it's at work, like for work or for personal or whatever, if you want to put yourself out there, put yourself out there. And it doesn't matter because as you said, Yvonne, everything is a gift or opportunity, isn't it, from like the sage perspective, from like our wiser selves perspective. And we might not see it straight away, and we might like need to sit with the I don't want to say the failure, but like that outcome that we were not expecting, that it's a bit negative, that we didn't really want it, whatever. But it might be that itself, sitting with it for a little while and understanding it, might give us the biggest breakthrough that we ever needed to get. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can get some real gold from those moments. And, remembering that learning happens through action. So we can either avoid action all day long because it may not go the way we want it to, or we can take action and be open to the outcome, even if we've planned for this. Okay, it went in, on a different pathway. What am I going to take from that? And get used to taking imperfect steps. My goodness, if I had to wait for perfect steps every time I wanted to do something, I don't think I'd have done anything. Literally, right? So for me, it's just like, oh, okay, well, let me just test that, and I'll test something. And I think, oh, that landed, or that didn't land at all. Okay, it's not the end of the world. Now, the only reason we would avoid doing that is because of fear of judgment of others. What will others think? I've put that out there. Oh my goodness, what will they think of me now? And again, if we get caught up in that storyline, how are we living? So everything that I say and I do, I now have to be concerned with what everybody else is going to think. Again, this is how we shrink. This is how we become small. This is how we get stuck with not being true to ourselves, not being authentic.
Yeah.
Because I think last week when we were talking about, the whole emotion thing, it's like, listen, there are a million things that I can say that I know will probably upset people in different ways for different reasons. That's not mine to carry because I wouldn't be doing it intentionally. I would just be sharing a truth that is mine.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
need to be able to do that. The same as when we are creating something, is that I'm going to test the waters. Guess what? Some people may think it's a load of nonsense. Some people may not like it. That's feedback, and you can take it or leave it as you choose. But if you don't start, you get zero feedback. And then what?
Yeah. And also, there is freedom in that. And the more free you are, the more you allow yourself to just be, and like be what you want to live, basically. Like make it this way, like without any judgment to self, because that's how we start. I think the first thing here is like, I don't want to get it wrong. How many things have you gotten wrong in the past? Oh, you have gotten wrong a lot of things. And then it starts like the internal chatter right there. And of course, when you go down that road, eventually you will not be able to like really in like feeling completely well put anything out there. You're going to just keep yourself small. Because you feel that you have all the evidence under the sun that tells you that nah, this is not going to work, and because you have never done something like this before, or if you have done something and it didn't work and whatever. But again, and I think I'm sure I have said that before, but like look for the right evidence.
Yes.
Don't, I mean, you can find evidence like right or wrong, like whether you were right or wrong, you can find evidence. Was
Yeah.
it Ford that said, if you think you can do it and you think you cannot do it, you're right. That's the
Correct.
way it is, you know?
Correct.
So look for the right evidence.
Yeah. Absolutely. And stop underestimating yourself, your
Mm.
potential, your knowledge, your skills, your experience. I do feel, and I'm saying this because working with midlife women, sometimes I'm blown away by how little they see of what they have learnt and what they have to put out in the world. Like it literally sometimes blows me
Yeah.
away. Like, wow, I'm sure if I sat down with you and got you to write every single thing you've ever done, and you would be blown away because you would be like, no way. But we get so stuck in, but this is what I'm doing now, and almost forget all of the. We can always remember the bad stuff, right? We have no
No,
issues with that. But
of course.
all the good stuff, all the wins, all of that are so easily forgotten. And it's like, wow, there is so much potential in you that has been unlocked and is yet to be unlocked. So this is that time where you don't have to worry about it being perfect. Be more focused on putting it out there and seeing where it lands and who it lands with. Because I honestly believe that we all have a message or messages within us. And those messages aren't just for us, they're for others. So if we do not explore them, if we don't put them out there, if we don't share them, instead of sitting down trying to craft the perfect thing, others are losing out. And
Yeah.
that for me is always the takeaway. It's just like, don't be so selfish that you withhold your gold, trying to polish it up until it's perfect, when somebody is literally sitting waiting for it now.
Yeah. That I think that sums it up basically. You need to be like open to be vulnerable, to be yourself in whatever situation, because somebody is out there that thinks that, oh, it's only me, and I'm going through like a really bad time and nobody's there, nobody understands, and they will hear that message, and they will know that they're not alone. They will know that there are a lot of people out there that are going through the same or similar things, and that they can help. So yeah.
Yeah. And the other part of that, I just want to add, it just jumped into my head, as some of these things do, is that, when you sit there polishing something to a state of perfection, even if you get it to a state of perfection that you are now happy with, that what that can sometimes do is just cause a gap between you and the people who need the message. Because they're, well, that's okay for her or him because they've done all this and they're up there and I'm here. So now there's no connection with the message because it's so polished, it's so perfect. And I've seen this happen time and time again. It's just like, well, there's no point in me trying because I will never be like that, or I'll never be able to think like that. I'll never be able to do those things. So actually come with the unpolished, because that makes it so much easier for other people to
Yeah.
connect to and think, oh my gosh, maybe I could, maybe I can. So, instill that sense of possibility for others by coming with your authentic, imperfectly perfect, perfectly imperfect self.
Absolutely. Fabulous. Yes, that's I completely agree. I cannot add anything better, Yvonne.
You could if we had enough time, but we're not gonna. Excellent. Well, listen, and before we just close out, just to say that underneath the video, what you will find at some point today is a link to what is called the Midlife Compass. Um, I'm not going to say too much about it because all I'm going to invite you to do is click the link when you see it, go visit it, and if it feels aligned, just take a few minutes to go through it. And we'd love your feedback and we'd love to know if it resonates with you when you get to the end. And I think I'm going to leave a little bit of mystery around it and just leave it like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm super excited about that one. Okay.
Me too.
Till next Thursday. Thank you, everyone, that we're here live or you're watching us on the replay. And bye, Yvonne. Thank you very much for the time again.
Thank you,
See you.
Evie. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Always a blessing. Thank you.